Heyo everyone, Xeon over here from Nintendo Life, and today we're here to share with you our review of Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now this review was originally written by Oliver Revolta for NintendoLife.com, but was reworked into this video by me. When this review came along, our gaming patience was being tested to its limit by Silksong's brutal difficulty. So we pack and rolled pretty enthusiastically towards an alternative that we hoped would be more relaxing. Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac seems like the ideal pellet-shaped breath mint to freshen things up. But while this ground-up remake will likely please fans of the 2002 original, it's ironic that we found ourselves haunted by similar frustrations that we were experiencing elsewhere, including bosses that crossed the line from being challenging to a bit of a chore. For newcomers, more generally, you'll have to decide whether the price point of £35 or $30 fits your budget for what is, at its core, a 6 to 7 hour experience in a genre where there are so many other options. First, let's address the concerns of those primarily interested in the quality of this refresh. For the most part, the new additions are incredibly positive. There's the inclusion of a landing target as you jump. It takes the form of a little circle that shows you where you're heading and makes platforming pain-free. It's extremely welcome and gets rid of some of the frustrations a game with its heart in the early 2000s might pass on to its players. The graphical upgrade impresses too. In comparison, the older version now looks a little primitive with some garish shadows. Pac-Man and the inhabitants of Pac-Land have been brought to life in a way that more lives up to the franchise's promise, longevity, and sense of fun. From the sun-drenched town that serves as the level hub, to the longer draw distances, everything looks good. Only some moments of retro game design, camera frustrations mostly, undermine the overall experience. Aside from some brief stutters, performance on Switch 2 is 30 FPS in quality 4K docked mode, or 60 FPS at 1080p docked or in handheld mode. We didn't have the chance to play on the original Switch, but over there, you'll find the game at 30 FPS in either mode. A word of caution though, anyone who's planning to play the game on Switch Lite might find the presentation too small. We're not sure it would necessarily be comfortable, and the presentation doesn't seem to suit itself well to small screens like other platformers. This second Re-Pac has a decent amount of other new features. Now a second player can join in as a pack drone, which is more ideal for a young child or anyone else happy to limit their gaming to shooting pellets at boxes and enemies. Changes to cutscenes and the level design also show up. The final boss, for example, is noticeably different to the original. The battle takes place in a slightly remixed arena with new enemies and attacks, and a more ambitious sheen to the presentation. Then, there are additions like the new mission mode. Here, the game asks you to fulfill 3 optional challenges on every stage. Usually they amount to things like picking up all the fruit, or achieving a medal on the time trial, plus one more random task. For us though, the levels often felt too long to make going back and collecting such a high number of items actually fun, especially when the collectibles reset every time you play, so there's pretty much no chance of diving back in for a solitary melon or a strawberry. But there are scenarios like playing with your children, maybe, where the extra content will be appreciated, surely. Gather all the collectibles and you'll end up unlocking new mazes, costumes, and figurines to display around your home village. During its stronger moments, Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac really is a lot of fun. We enjoyed the submarine and swimming levels, skating away from a giant snowball, and all the moments when Pac-Man gulped up a giant pellet and turned into a chomping head reminiscent of his classic games, and turned the tables on the otherwise invincible ghosts. We liked the sense of momentum and the surprise that the platforming was much more challenging than we expected. One famously difficult lava level used up 20 of our lives. At times, we had our work cut out for us, and that was fine. At a lower price, we might recommend the game more readily, but even then, we would still lean into framing the review as assessing a slice of gaming history that's been refreshed and renovated rather than a game that truly earns its place alongside contemporary heavy hitters like Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's no shame in that, but let's be clear. At its heart, This is a much better looking and smoother playing version of a 23-year-old game. This story of the demonic, spooky ghost stealing all of Pac-Land's golden fruit and the short little adventure that ensues is a little old school. And via moments of cumbersome difficulty reminiscent of a game from 2002, that's our cue to tie this review back to the opening, specifically the use of Silksong as a reference. Let's say that we were grossly mistaken. We might have thought we were escaping frustration by playing a colorful Pac-Man game. Surely, it would be easy, right? But boy, we were wrong during the finale, and not necessarily in a fair kind of way. We've already had a little trouble with one of the bosses in the middle of the game where we fell off the arena multiple times because of a camera quirk that a modern platformer probably wouldn't allow. We felt the same kind of unfairness here too. Principally with some jumps we had to make rapidly in order to damage the boss. They erred on the side of being frustrating more than challenging, and came after a sequence of attacks that were difficult to avoid and left us with barely any life left. In a yellow-tinged irony, this boss had more than a passing resemblance to the last judge from Silksong. And here's the thing, we literally couldn't kill it. We could not complete this game. We don't know what we were doing wrong, but after 30 attempts, dying every time, having to go through the 3 stages of the boss fight over and over again, losing all of our lives, suffering 8 game overs, then switching in desperation to the kid-friendly fairy mode that, we should point out, makes you invincible, somehow we still failed to succeed, and we were thrown back to the very start once again. And at this point, we just had to stop. Honestly, maybe it's time to go back to Silksong. We don't want to let our gripes about the final boss overshadow the review. There's still a fun game here and a lovely remaster of a well-loved platformer. The things it does well, the personality of Pac-Man, friends and enemies in the cutscenes, the variety in the gameplay, shine brightly. For those with nostalgia for the original, we're sure you'll enjoy your Re-Pac aged version. It's been made with love, but for non-fans, this is a more difficult purchase to justify. Arguably, the price is a little steep for what's on offer, and some lingering retro frustrations in the execution of the 3D platforming and boss fights might sit badly with an audience expecting a game with the finesse of more modern alternatives. Sure, even a game like Donkey Kong Bonanza has its share of cheap deaths, but the truth is, Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac isn't in the same league. Short, sweet, prettyified, retro, and not for everybody. Those are the keywords here. We here at Nintendo Life give Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac on the Nintendo Switch 2 a 7 out of 10. Now, if you want to stick around for some additional thoughts, I've been playing Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac on Nintendo Switch 2, and I grew up with the original. My mom and my brother and I all played it together, and I have fond memories of it, so I was actually pretty excited to dive into this, but I've been playing the game a little bit myself to capture footage to go along with Oliver's review here, and I've found a few moments where the game has just been incredibly frustrating. The platforming feels quite stiff. I do like the little kind of shadow, the circle that appears below Pac-Man, so it's quite easy to navigate, and maybe I also feel this way because just a few months ago I played through Donkey Kong Bonanza, and over there Donkey Kong's movements are so fluid and it's just such a fun game to play. I am the kind of person too that really likes to try and collect everything in a level when I can, and I often found myself getting frustrated at the fact that I was scouring these levels intensely, and I would find myself hitting treasure chests quite often where I just didn't have the required fruits in order to open them in it. And so far I've often felt more frustrated than happy and excited and rewarded with the time that I've spent playing this game. Now here in the US, the game retails for only $29.99, $30, which doesn't feel as bad as the £35 that it is in the UK, because that translates roughly to around like $45 here, I believe. And that is quite a substantially more amount of money. Now it's been years since I played the original, so I don't remember necessarily if it was as tedious and frustrating as this one is. The level where you're being chased by a snowball over and over again, I died so many times. It just was not fun. But my patience, I was growing tired. So please let me know in the comments down below if you're planning on picking this up, if you played it back in the day with your friends and family. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then why don't you gobble up that subscribe button and then ring that notification bell to be notified. Wait a second, you're growing huge. That was a Pac pellet. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to Oliver for writing up this review for us. I'm sorry to hear the boss was such a beast. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.